Well, good afternoon. It's been a little while since I've made a video, so I just wanted to check in. Today I was looking at the news. It looks like 6 more soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan, including 3 U.S. It goes along with the one that was killed along with a journalist, I think yesterday, according to the Sunday Evening News on Comcast.net. This is, of course, something that is to be expected more and more in the fighting in Afghanistan. As far as the soldiers themselves go, women and men both, they are doing what they are ordered to do, which is hold until relieved, advance against the enemy, find the enemy, destroy them. And that is their job. They do it very well. They have proven themselves over the years, and we can have faith in the fact that they will do their job as best as they possibly can, and they deserve all of our support for that. The American foreign policy, however, to me is a different matter and can be separated from the soldier as far as I'm concerned. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was something I've been reading about lately, the Korean War, for instance. I'm reading a history of the Korean War, and one of the things that stood out from it was the story of Task Force Smith, which was sent in to slow down the North Korean advance just after its invasion of South Korea, June 25th, 1950. There was basically an understrength battalion, about 2 companies of riflemen, and I think about a battery or so of 105 millimeter howitzers. They had the regular high explosive shells and anti-personnel shells. However, as far as anti-tank rounds, they had less than 10 what they call heat rounds, high explosive anti-tank shells. That was not enough to stop the North Korean tanks, which were Soviet-supplied T-34/85. In other words, they were T-34 tanks mounting an 85 millimeter gun for its main armament, plus it had machine guns for secondary armament. The attack itself was not something it was impossible to stop, but seasoned soldiers probably could have done it. The tanks went through the infantry positions, just continued on through the rear, ground up the communications wires so that communications were cut off with artillery, which was which had ammunition available to fire its guns, but got no direction from forward observation, or from the commander for that matter. The infantry was another matter. There was a lot of them, and they came on, some of them advancing very coolly under fire, which was very disturbing to new men in the foxholes, whose weapons they were not fully capable, fully able to operate. For instance, the M1 Garand, many of them did not know how to even reload them as far as the weapon itself. Some weapons were dirty, some were improperly assembled and did not function. So less than a third of the available firepower for the battalion was available to handle the North Korean infantry, which swarmed up the hill, attacking the front, swarmed around the flanks, got into the rear, and forced the withdrawal of Task Force Smith and the artillery. Now, other weapons they had available were 60 millimeter mortars, 81 millimeter mortars, and some 4.2 inch mortars. All of them were absolutely useless in the effect of attempting to stop the North Korean advance. As I recall, I think the forward observer was absolutely stunned by a shell blast and could not talk. So therefore there was no one who knew enough to direct fire from the mortars onto the infantry advancing. Now the tanks themselves eventually would have to stop for fuel. Some sort of supply system would have to catch up with them later on. So their effectiveness would be limited to that of terrorism, basically, because they had no way of operating effectively without infantry support. But of course, you can't tell new guys that who are not seasoned in fighting this, not trained, not indoctrinated properly, and are basically just civilians in uniform. Many of them had absolutely no respect and would not obey orders from their junior officers, their platoon leaders, let alone their company commanders and the battalion commander. And so this was the first contact after World War II, 5 years afterwards, with a competent, driven, focused enemy who was willing to take casualties, could advance coolly under fire, and was assigned to take an objective and would take the objective at all costs. This is how an army operates, and this is how our army will operate, and it is what it's told to do. It has the equipment and the training, such as it is. Whether it is adequate or not will remain to be seen. Hopefully it will be. If it is, then our casualties will be reduced enormously. If not, then we will see an increase in casualties. Either way, we need to support these people as much as we can. Visit them in the veterans' hospitals. Make sure that when they come home, they are properly cared for and respected for what they are, the soldiers who protect us, regardless of what our policy is.